this session. Operation of host broadcasting services, IBC management, RH hosting service. That's the main job. By the numbers, I will explain more about each product. In total, 3,850 hours of live sports ceremonies, and there were 72 product feeds. On the venue, 103 commentary. We hired 2,000 time post, and IBC size 10,000 square meters in Songdo Convention. And we invested 51 OB bands in products. Depending on the situation at the venue, sometimes OB bands use, sometimes make products. For example, gymnastics, athletics needs people and equipment more in production cabins rather than. And in total, there are 500. It's not a big number comparing with current production system with all for they are in more and more. There are rights holding territories. EU, Union, the IBC Loom, and they distribute it on behalf of the non-members not participate visiting. And East Asia, Korea, Japan, China, and East Taipei. I'm sorry about the Chinese Taipei I mentioned separate because most Chinese people understand that the Chinese Taipei is one of the mainland China and Hong Kong as well. EPRK, North Korea, and Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. South Asia, India. I'm not sure why. I don't know why the Pakistan and Bangladesh they are not the rights holders for at the time. And Middle East, the Iran and Pan Middle East, the Bein Sports and Alcas, they have the IBC facilities. And non-Asia, USA, SNTV, and Germany, Sportage. And you have found the familiar name Astro for among the production teams. From Korea, there are 8 companies: KBSN, our KBS affiliated oriented sports oriented company KBSN, and MBC and SBS Sports, JTBC, and Sport TV, TBC, and KNN. And IGBS. You remember the IGBS? They were the host broadcaster for Jakarta Games and Guangzhou Games. Guangzhou Games, GAB was host broadcaster. IGBS was doing the highlights. This time again, IGBS was doing the athletics and the daily highlights. And Malaysia, Astro, joined the team as a cricket production. Because nobody in Korea, we don't know about the cricket. Yeah, so I have asked it to John know about it. Please send the IHB some production teams. And China CCTV, they sent the Olympic production teams to Incheon for gymnastics and badminton. And I'll let you know one interesting story that badminton has 2 feeds. One is made by CCTV, and the other one is made by the KNN, a local southern part of Korea, local Korean company. And during the off day, the crews from CCTV and KNN, they are competing by badminton. You know who win? Easily, by easy win for the CCTV. So IHB, the prize money for around $300 or something that. So of course, very easily, CCTV team won the game against the KNN. KNN people, they were shocked because the score is, for example, 11-1 12.0. Yeah, so I I was told that the CCTV crew's badminton skills is almost equal to the real players. And our neighbor Thailand, they sent two teams for sepak takraw. I still cannot understand why the name is sepak takraw. Which one is Malaysian? Sepak. Sepak is Malaysian. Both Malaysian. No Thailand language. No. Yeah. I was confusing about. Or whether sepak and tanglo put together or like that separate. Which one is separate? Yeah. Now understand. And the kabaddi, the Asian Games sports, covered by Thailand TPT. And some European company named Quattro Media, they joined the team for the rowing, canoeing, kayak. As you know that making the production for canoeing is rowing is very difficult because its venue is very long, 2 kilometers, and we have to follow all the first part of the boat by the tracking camera. And sometimes we need some water camera, and catamaran boat should follow. It's very difficult. So we have at that time we have no specialist for rowing canoe production. Though we invited German people, that company was the main production company for the World Rowing Federation. And later on, my colleague Jalila will share you with the related documents. I don't want to explain individually for the IHB organization, production, IBC venue operation, but I have you remember that white paper? I have some documents, and you can, if you want, you can share it with me and maybe you. The time that the seals was the mascot. Mascot is very important. It decides the image of the hosting city and country. That seals were in danger of immortalization. So now it's okay. It's recovered the number of pieces. 바람에 춤으로 비추. Always. Mascots also consisted of the look of the game. Okay, now it's time to watch the 20 minutes video clips for how IHB did the work. Now seeing is believing, and my 1 hour or 2 hour explanation is meaningless. Just watching the video, that's okay. That will be enough for you to understand how the post-broadcasting assignment will be done.
The 2014 Asian Games, hosted in Incheon, Korea, was a festival of challenge and emotion. The message of harmony by 4.5 billion Asians was delivered through IHB's international signal all across Asia.
아시아의 인품을 노래하라.
김주원 두 어린이가 성화 주자로부터 성화를 받고 있습니다.
IHB was established by KBS and NBC for the purpose of performing the duties of host broadcasting for the 2014 Asian Games. The two broadcasters, which have extensive experience in host broadcasting, presented a new model for broadcasting the Asian Games. IHB deployed some of the latest state-of-the-art equipment and employed new production techniques and skills to enhance international signal quality. Aerial cameras and rail cameras were deployed in the Incheon Asiad Main Stadium, the venue for the opening and closing ceremonies and some athletics events. They delivered the action of the events up close to the viewers. Special equipment was also used for the aquatic events. Besides the underwater rail camera, underwater remote cameras were also deployed to ensure viewers would catch every moment. For the diving events, the plunge camera was deployed. The plunge camera falls vertically from high above and enters the water following the divers, presenting up-close action for all viewers. For outdoor events, special mobile equipment in the form of helicopters, mobile vans, motorcycles, and boats were used. Each piece of equipment had a gyro system to ensure a stable image. For some athletic events, a 360-degree surround view with flow motion technology was implemented to give viewers a better experience at home. Images obtained with the super slow motion camera and the high-speed camera can be replayed live, and this has added to the quality of the international signal. IHB set up microphones along the stands and the fields of play and used these microphones to recreate the atmosphere of the stadiums in the viewers' living rooms. For combat sports events, referees wore wireless microphones, which added to the flow of the matches. In order to help viewers at home understand matches better and generate interest, IHB employed visual effects like coarse animation and virtual graphics. This is Gaeyang Gymnasium, the venue for the badminton events. Two days after the badminton events, the karate events took place here. Despite the quick change in the situation, IHB staff were able to set up a perfect production environment thanks to expertise and well-organized teamwork. A total of 2,505 people, 505 cameras, and 53 OB vans and production cabins were involved in producing the international signal for the 2014 Asian Games. Broadcast teams deployed at each stadium were made up of members who have extensive experience covering sports events, boosting the overall quality of the Asian Games international signal.
좋아요. 한발.
들어오는 거.
바이바이.
IHB held the World Broadcasters Meeting in January 2014 for rights-holding broadcasters of the 2014 Asian Games. IHB shared the production philosophies and guidelines with teams through workshops, production planning meetings, production rehearsals and seminars, and training sessions for short-term employees. There were also site visits to the various venues, which helped prepare for optimal broadcasting conditions. Through these programs, production staff could focus solely on production in the most ideal situation. In the 37 technical operation centers established for the 49 sporting venues, the produced international signal is gathered through IBC and distributed and transmitted among the rights-holding broadcasters. IHB was provided the 10,000 square meter IBC by the organizing committee, and produced a total of 72 feeds of live productions, ENG packages, daily highlights, and beauty shots, all in full HD and 4-channel stereo. The CDT is the primary point for the produced international signals from the venues. These signals are distributed among rights-holding broadcasters. The PQC is responsible for maintaining optimal video and audio quality and ensuring guidelines for running orders and production are followed. All commentary audio from the international signal is gathered at the CSC. Every venue has a commentary position system installed to allow commentators to dub their voices if need be, and there is also information support by commentator information systems and real-time data systems.
Flashing home Fukushima, maybe Safranova for third, but a very
Tom Radarong and Tanarata Udom.
In case commentary cannot be dubbed on site, IBC provided commentators with an off-tube booth.
And she's there again.
IHB operated a file-based only archive system, the first time in any Asian Games. All international signals produced are recorded and categorized with highlights and game logs. The file-based only archive system was highly useful in creating the daily highlights feeds. The saved files were edited non-linearly, and 54 minutes of feeds were transmitted twice a day. The events that couldn't be included in live feeds were instead covered with ENG cameras, ingested and edited. The rights holders of each country use the latest technology provided by IHB to convey results accurately and quickly to their home countries.
그 수준을 유지할 수 있도록
IHB co-hosted daily briefings with the organizing committee and provided hosting services through the booking office to the rights holders. IHB provided various kinds of information via mobile applications, its webpage and email to the international signal production team. IHB also provided high-quality logistics services in the forms of media kits, uniforms, accommodation, catering, and transportation services, creating an environment where staff members could be at their most effective. IHB presented the most optimal way to combine the experience of former broadcast experts and the new skills of today's broadcast world.
과거에는 특정 방송사가 주간 방송 업무를 쭉 추진해 왔는데 이번의 경우는 별도의 전담 조직이 그것도 회사 형태를 가지고 이런 일을 맡아서 프로젝트를 추진했습니다. 이번에 제작은 국내의 제작진뿐만 아니라 해외의 국제 프로젝트에 참여했던 전문 제작진이 이번에 같이 참여해서 주간 방송 운영의 새로운 모델을 이번에 창출했다. 그래서 이번에 정착된 이 모델을 바탕으로 아시안 게임뿐만 아니라 국제 빅 이벤트에 있어서 이런 이번에 도입된 시스템을 잘 활용하면 좋겠다. 이런 기대와 바람을 가져봅니다.
In the end, a total of 3,108 hours and 55 minutes worth of coverage was transmitted. IHB captured the 2014 Asian Games Festival of Emotions, Challenges, and Harmony and shared it with the world. IHB created a new model for producing international signals based on effective manpower usage, organization, and standardized production guidelines, and was praised for creating the highest quality international signal for an Asian Games event. IHB's legacy is a new chapter in the production of international signals.
Make the signal and then make the production world, put it together in one good experience of production signals. Before we launched the IHB, it was also challenging for me. So it's the first time, like the Mr. Kim told you, that first time ever, the many companies joined the production hosting broadcaster together, and that's the first case. Now is for the big games, the host broadcaster will be appointed very far in advance, and Olympics for OBS and designated host broadcasters was assigned. But still, that kind of task is very challenging. But the same philosophy and same guidelines and same manuals and all the disciplines will apply to the other events, even not in sports, the entertainment and cultural events. And regardless of the size of the games and events, that kind of same philosophy will be applied at the same time. So I think it's this is the end of my presentation, and now it's time to have a chance to share your experience together with us. Then we still have enough time, so 1 hour. So it's free to talk for question and answers, and any kind of questions is welcome, or just let me know your experience for the other events. It will be helpful to share all of us together to prepare for the next event and for the basic information necessary to be the host broadcaster. Okay, now is microphone is on floor. Yeah, so it's your turn. Yes. Please go ahead if there's any questions or anything, any remarks, it will be welcomed. Just go ahead. The KBS team. Yeah. Yes, there are a lot of special cameras, including the Chai mentioned about the diving camera, plunging camera. We call it plunging camera. So we have, as I explained previously, that there's a many subcontract with especially for equipment provider. I remember that diving camera is we have it. Yeah, luckily KBS has the same camera, so we don't need to import it from overseas countries. But the rowing and other tracking camera, we have a subcontract with the special camera provider with the European countries, the French, British companies. But that plunge camera, we still have it. Yeah.
So it means the plunge camera was actually patented by the Korean.
Yes.
The patent worked by Korean.
Yes.
Is that for rental?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. So the most important special cameras is tracking and the aerial camera. There are a lot of different kinds of aerial spider cam and two-way, four-way, three-way, different kinds. And so actually the aerial camera, the company, they have very tight schedule for the American NFL games and for the Olympics, for the World Cup. So we have to adjust the enough time to bring their equipment to Korea, and they have a whole year plan, 1 year plan to which country needs that kind of equipment. So it's very difficult to bring even we have going to pay, but it is not a matter of cost. Their allocation schedule is very tight. Yeah.
So, what was the total cost to run the provide?
Yes, very good question.
And was it profitable to?
Yeah, profitable. Yeah, because now is already the game is passed, so I can tell you the exact number of the post-broadcasting cost. Before we launched the IHB, that was in advance. It was a long time negotiation discussion with the LOC. Like the other countries, the LOC is funded, receives some money from the government budget. So the total cost of is 70 million US dollar. Yes, and after the games, we settled all the budget, and we made 8 million revenue. Yeah, that's good. So divided by KBS and MBC, and so it's a good chance. But depending on how much budget the organizing committee or the organizer has it. So if that is not enough, as I told you before, we need some sponsorship and other funding tools will be necessary. For example, the OBS, the Olympic host broadcaster, they are not going to make a revenue because they are the organization under the IOC. The IOC get the broadcasting rights money from the broadcasters and distribute it to each department, including OBS. So that's the reason why OBS is very free to use any newly advanced technology, any more persons, because they don't have any pressure from the budget or a financial matter. No, they don't have any relations with the post broadcasters post-can revenue. They just doing the agency role, representing IOC and distributing to signals to the rights holders. Yes, correct. Yes, correct. Yeah, we have received the production cost from the LOC. And ROC funded by the government and funded, some of them funded by themselves because the Incheon is one of the regional city. And like the Olympics, Asian Games also has big sponsors like 361 and Samsung. And according to the hosting city contract, and the hosting city can draw the local sponsors as well. There are 3 tiers of the sponsor level: OCA level, local sponsors, and some VIK, value in kind, so just a provider for some services. Anyway, as you understand, always the money matters. So from your side, if you buy some, not the sports, all kinds of contents, you have to pay some money to get the rights, and or even produced by yourself. But you need an advertisement and sponsorship to compensate for your deficit. And there are a lot of cost. Money involves everything. Just a small move, it involves money. And bring some people, bring some equipment, it costs a lot. So always, if we have enough money like OBS, then I can do anything. But if there's some limit or restraint of budget, then only some looms we can accommodate our advanced technology to other things. Then we have to change our plans to a smaller size, or some, if this kind of facility or people is not necessary, then we can give up. We have to give up. Yeah, always that's the administrative job, but it's very important as well to implement the task of the host broadcast.
How many venue feed that or ISB provided for RSB at that time? Live feed venue.
Live feed,
venue,
yeah, live.
And also for maybe for record. I understand there's gonna be a lot of venue for.
Even the number of sports is just 35, but as you know that like athletics needs only athletics needs 4 or 5 feeds, gymnastics 4 or 5. So the number of feet is 72. That is the, but among the 72, 60 was a live feed, and the other ones like a bowling or walk or some canoe, yachting or something that is covered only by ENG.
Mostly at the time, does Asia broadcasting media have to go to the what we call that international broadcast center to get the feed, or they can actually stay in their country and then just buy from rights?
Yeah. You mean the nobody is at Incheon, but trying to receive the
through transmission. Maybe
at that time, now it's possible for the Olympic Games, but at that time it was not possible because the Vanda bundle for 72 feet is huge, so it requires a maximum very big capacity of the transmission package. At the time there was no IP-based transmission, so only the conventional way of transmission by fiber or satellite. So it's very difficult to accommodate. If they have the IBC loom, we can send it to their own individual IBC loom, and they can edit or just select 1 or 2 feeds. But if not, at the time there was no multi-feed transmission. Multi-feed, multi-feed was not there. Yeah. But these days, for the OBS, and it's possible.
I'm Shafiq from one. I'm interested about the post-event for the event you mentioned before. As you know, as a host broadcaster, we will record most of the event. Okay? And later on, we have very huge numbers of content during that event. So the post-event means later on, sometimes the content itself, not the content, the equipment itself, we partnership with other vendors. And for the owner of the content itself, how they get content, we need to give them
Yes.
the content, or some of it just delete up, or first who and how we want to give the content to the owner, the right owner, and for
Yes.
how long. Thank you.
That's a very good question. Because the owner of the contents copyright goes to the OCA. So after the games, IHB recorded all the feeds, all the games. Actually, it was one of the very hard tasks for us to. We have recorded by the digital ways, digital discs, but it's more than 800 boxes of digital discs. We give it to OCA. So, and after IHB has disappeared, gone, then all the copyright went back to the OCA. Then if now somebody else wants to the footage of that IHB production, then they have to contact OCA. Then OCA has their media department. They have it. They have all the footages, like archive. So they can distribute to the, if there's some small expense of the copying the footage. Now the IHB no longer exists. So then you have to contact OCA. They have the copyright holder.
Okay, but the digital medium,
Yeah.
is it paid by the HS or the owner? The medium means the tape or the disc?
Made by IHB.
Made by-
Yeah.
So it will be.
So we
some
have
of
two
the-
copies. One is for our one set of all the footages went to OCA, and the other set, second set, we have it. We still have it. KBS and MBC still has it. And sometimes, if there is no media department to handle this kind of request, then OCA asks KBS or MBC to please copy some specific footage to the broadcaster. Then we will do it with the small expense of copy.
There's some experience. Of course, we do save some of the contents, but normally we will save the content related to the Malaysia athlete through our sports department. Later on, they will send to the central, but the medium we will save is on the SDCam disk. But normally there will be an issues who will be bear the cost of the SDCam disk, either the owner itself or the one who provide content. That's why I'm asking the expert in Incheon. So it's done by the HBS, right? It's be a part of the cost. The HBS. We have the content, but selected. Selected. The total copy, that's still. I'm not sure about the content who are saving those content, but for Malaysian athlete and related to final games, yes, we do have a copy. It depends on the rights of the content. I'm not sure details about that. The SEA Games Foundation. So it might be owned by the appointing during the contract sign up. So they will be the right owner of the contract. If they approach, then they need to go to their. But for us, say we need the content for news or to do a magazine later on. We do have the high-res content, but still we need a permission to do publication either through the social media, TV platform, or other media.
And these days, one of the challenging tasks for the broadcaster, we have a lot of tapes, a lot of physical. It's heavy and it takes a lot of space. Most of the broadcasters are trying best to transferring it to the digitalization. It's very difficult task, and even in KBS, we are still on its way, because it started already 10 years ago, but still doing the archiving and transforming for previous non-digital ways of recording. So, and in NHK's almost done it. They already, even they have the 1950s or 60s footage in their archiving. NHK has a different building outside of Tokyo. There is a archiving building, only archive. So, but digitally it works now. So if I'm a producer of NHK, I need some footage for 20, 30 years ago, then I called it to the archiving office, then please transfer and finding out the contents I need, and they transfer it to the Tokyo office. They already almost done, but KBS still on our way. Digitalization is a heavy task. Yes. Yes, correct. Yeah.
Brazilian from Astro. How do you decide which sports to cover with OB cabin, or which sport going on ENG? Is it because of popularity, budget, demand? And another question is, during that period of time, was there any technology that you can't use due to the constraint, or technology wasn't advanced you wish you can do it?
Thank you for the question. And you are right. When we decide which sports can be produced by live or which sport can be by ENG, the popularity, yes, correct, popularity. So, as you know, the football, athletics, swimming is popular. Everybody wants to, and we have many expertise and experience to cover that match. And the second thing is the budget. Even though the athletics and gymnastics, swimming has it costs a lot more than comparing with other sports, but still that's the kind of basic essential sports to be covered. And the circumstances of the coverage, like yachting we cannot cover by live, and bowling, even we have a special bowling arena for professional bowling, only 2 lanes, it can be covered. But from the preliminary stage, group stage, there's a lot of tens of or 20 of lanes at the same time we cannot cover. So I mean the popularity, budget, and the situation, circumstances of the venue, all is the factor when we decide which sports can be covered by live. And already 6 years passed. At that time, we are trying to bring the most advanced technology at the time. So, as I told you, we have enough budget. So we take all the special cameras at the time, and you remember that on the video, there's the 360 degrees surrounding cameras. That was not new at the time, but still, for the first time ever in Asian Games coverage, we implemented that technology. And most of you remember the 3D. Yeah. Very fortunately, 3D is no longer popular, and because we have to wear the glasses for watching the 3D. So 3D is not our option at that time. So. And 6 years before, there was no specific concept of AR or VR. Now everybody is talking about the AR and VR, but at the time it was still too early to adapt augmented reality or virtual reality. So even if we have enough budget, the concept of that kind of realization is too early. Broadcasting facilities. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Mhm. I remember that the Incheon Asian Games was the hosting city was decided 5 years before. Normally, Olympic Games will be decided 7 years before, but Incheon was decided in 2009. And after the bidding committee becomes the organizing committee, then they started to prepare all that kind of accommodation, all the facility infrastructure. And even before IHB was made, the organizing committee consulted many times with the KBS and other broadcasters to about the media operations. Then we consulted them and making a task force to sending some people to organizing committee to consultation. And officially, IHB was made 1.5 years before, but already 2 or 3 years before, we started to discuss with the matters about the video operation together with the organizing committee. It takes a long time to prepare, and as I told you, it's subject to change every time. Even today we made a decision something, but tomorrow is changed. Yeah. We still have enough time, but if you have no questions or any remarks,
STL start September. Sepak takraw league. Yeah, AR, and when it comes to football, I think you only but offhand back of that was. I mean, if you look at it, Astro being a fit. Yeah, we well, but then this is something that you see on stats. All about cost itself. Right now, if you look at RMR, take PSR example, how they why if a players have arms, you can see details that then again that almost realism. Technology is available. It's a matter of how cheap. No, because I mean the local league is not using VAR. International matches, not yet. There were requests. It might be on the AFC Champions League. yeah, in Johor. They might request that, or probably maybe if example like request South Dish, that I require all host clusters, and they might have one company that provides all that, but that still just on another note. I mean, we have experience, I mean, doing host broadcasts for, I think, Asian Games since 2010. Delhi, we did
Guangzhou Games.
badminton. Sorry, that was a Commonwealth Game Delhi. And then after John cricket, and after that, Jakarta and Games host. There was some challenges there between us host broadcasters and so organizing. Some were very efficient. Some were very kind of like a lot of last minute changes. And from your point of view, when it comes to all these challenges, what are the cause of it? Is it because of budget constraint or political interference that you have to basically fancy a certain group of people, or otherwise?
It always happens. That's the reason I mentioned a lot of times about the smooth communication between the committee and the host broadcaster. It's very important. But even we try, both sides trying to their best to make the benefits for future benefits, but still it's very hard to realize. So I was in the Jakarta Games to coordinate for KBS. Also joined the Jakarta Games for some football events, and I had many complaints from my KBS colleagues. The equipment provider, their quality of the equipment is very bad. So I asked it to the host broadcaster IGBS, but they have no choice but to. Same. You're right. It's
I think we complain the same thing.
Yeah. So they have some limit of the budget, and so that's a very challenging job. It always happens, but we have to adjust it because we have to make the use of the certain equipments and facilities as best as we can. That's the only option. But before that, we have to communicate. Even if we communicate more smoothly with the host broadcaster and equipment provider, then we can talk about the issue of the equipment in advance. But that's the maybe at that time during the Jakarta Games, we trusted IGBS. IGBS can secure the enough and good quality of the equipments. But when we arrive on site, it's disappointed one. So it needs a very good communication before, far in advance. But it's very difficult to realize.
I think the challenges during that time in Jakarta, because some, in our case, we covered three sport: football, hockey, track cycling, and hockey. We brought our own equipment, so basically we are in control of. When it comes to football, we have the events like that really cause challenge situation, like some of this camera we have to wait for other venue to finish, pass it to us. I think when it comes to all this arrangement in John before Jakarta set such a benchmark once go.
I agree. It's always a challenging issues to allocate specific equipments and specific crews to which venue. It always happens because that's the international events, and many countries are investing people, equipments, and so many different kinds of communication should be necessary. That's the critical point. if that's the domestic events, it's easy. We just bring our own equipments and bring our own people to make the production. But international events, even it's not sports or not, it's very difficult to make the production easily. And another issue is that the equality of the production. If there are 7 or 8 or 10 or more different countries, different teams, and they have their own way of making production, so sometimes the quality is different. So that's the huge problem for host broadcaster, because that's the reason why they made the importance of the same quality of the production, even if it's worse, bad, good or bad. So the host broadcaster should have made very specific production guidelines and request to each production team to follow the guidelines as much as possible. Yeah.
I think we learned something from the game in Singapore, where our host brought come around the region, not for from there, centralized have same so that when it comes to deploy the that's how I think when it comes to shared service, but same use way forward for the
Yeah, that's a good point, because 2015 Singapore SEA Games also conducted by the IGPS, and they're sending some key persons. The IGPS, they are very experienced persons and organization. They started for the as you know that the IGPS is one of the sister company of the HBS, World Cup Host Broadcaster, and they started to pay attention for Asian region since Doha Games 2006. At that time, I remember they received a huge money from the Qatar government, and then since then they are still focusing on the Asian region for the Asian Games, SE Games, and many other events. But their HBS is localized by the French and Switzerland personnel, but IGPS is made of mainly the British people. They are IMG, and their headquarters in London. They are doing their job very well, but as you told me that they always focusing on the same quality of the production and following the production manual. So when we make the production guidelines, we have to consider it's not just one team. So we have to consider many possibilities and many cases of to make the production standard equally. That's the very important but hard to realize.
how long it took to make the manual, quite big manual and quite detailed. In fact we took some inspiration for that from Incheon for KLC Games.
The production manual is released during the WBM. So for Incheon Games, the games time was in September to October, and the World Broadcaster meeting was held in January. And especially South Asian broadcasters, they felt so chilly and cold in January, gathering at Incheon area. Anyway, it means 8 months before the game's time, we have to release the production manual and all the specific information of the production to the rights holders. So we made it right after launching the IHB. We started the whole year, 1 year, almost 1 year to devote to make the production manual. It's very difficult. Okay, so now we are. It's about time to close the session, and thank you for hearing my not enough explanation. Thank you for hearing my sessions, and I wish you have a opportunity to listen to some previous experiences, and I hope it is helpful to your preparation for next event, whether it's sports or not. Thank you for your hearing. Thank you.
So Jeff, shall we have a group photo? That's your last working day today, in Malaysia. Okay, everyone.